the Comas Regional Facilitator, Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia. Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure. Hopefully, Rose and Tapiwa, you can come up. Just at a show of hands, who here is not from Namibia? Oh, this is amazing. So I used to be on the board of the AUHF. I think 10 years ago we founded Ateno Developments. I've been reading CAF's publications for more than 10 years. If you're not familiar with CAF, look them up. It will tell you everything you need to know about growth. Okay. Everything you need to know about housing around the continent, and it's incredible. I had a thought back then, which I said, well, I'm a developer. Can I be part of the African Union for Housing Finance? And it didn't seem like it, but I sneaked into a conference and I started networking and talking to people, and then there was a board meeting and I paid my membership fee and I ran for election, and somehow by mistake I got elected into the board. Which proves that you can be part of organizations that don't describe the mission of your company in order to influence how it affects your company. And I think for people out there who are developers, who are not financiers, who are community organizations, who are governments, take this as an approach to actually join organizations like this that are continent-wide. You saw how many hands went up of people who are not even from Namibia, who are here today, and the opportunity, number one, to learn. Number two, to scale your company outside of the borders of our country, which has a small population, if you're Namibian. Or if you're not Namibian, and you're here today, to learn about places like Namibia and become a member of such an amazing and impactful organization. When we started building housing, I was very excited to learn how, I don't know if people can see me from over there, so I'm just going to try this. I don't think I can move it, it's stable, but I'll stand up and then these are the important people you know. I started building housing. I wanted to know how to build housing because I had no idea. I was 24, I'm 33 right now, so that was 10 years ago. And we started building housing. I saw Antoni here. He also owns a construction company, and we started building housing with him in a town called Fruitfontein. Many of you might know it. It's about 5 hours north of here. And when I showed up there, I saw this amazing guy. If you haven't met him, look him up. Heinrich Amushila, running on the road to Fruitfontein. And Heinrich, I said, hey, I've seen you before. What are you doing here? And he said, I'm hosting a meeting for the Namibia Housing Action Group with the Shack Dwellers Federation Community Meeting. Now, I had nothing else to do because I hadn't figured out how to build housing, so I showed up to the meeting. The meeting was incredible. And what I'm going to share with you by asking questions, hopefully Rose is coming, right? I really want her because Tapiwa is part of NAG, Rose is part of the Shack Dwellers Federation. You've heard a little bit about it. I want to make sure that you know what I know about these two organizations and that you carry with you the power of getting involved with grassroots level organizations. Not only did I learn how to build, but it changed my entire mindset about how construction happens. Now, the Namibia Housing Action Group, maybe you can tell us a little bit about it, Sophia, and maybe introduce yourself and tell us what you do. And when Rose joins us, Rose? Can we have a hand for Rose? She's joining us up here. Maybe give us an introduction about the Namibia Housing Action Group, and then kind of like help Rose then start her introduction about what the Shack Dwellers Federation does.
Yes. Okay. Thank you very much. My name is Tapiwa Maruza. I work for Namibia Housing Action Group, which is the NGO that is supporting Shack Dwellers Federation of Namibia. So basically, we are the technical arm and the administrative support for the Shack Dwellers. And I always say I have probably the easiest job on earth because it's my role just to facilitate and to ask, what do we need? What do you want? How shall we go about this? And we take it directly to our federation.
When did you guys get started?
Namibia Housing Action Group officially started, I believe, in 1994, but the movement had really started in the 1980s. So yes, it's pre-independence, and we have been building from there. Currently, we are a group of 10 permanent staff, and we have 1,000. How many federations do we have? Over 1,000.
Oh, we're getting to Rose. I just want you to remember this. NHAG, Namibian Housing Action Group. 10 people working. That's it. Now, we've heard about thousands of houses, and I can tell you, and I want to give the punchline so you see the impact. 10 people working in NAG, and a grassroots level organization with no employees, which we're going to hear about, have built more than 7,000 houses in Namibia affordably by themselves. Is that correct? Am I making up that number?
7,400.
7,400. That 400 is way more than most companies have built. So yes, 10,000 plus. This is incredible. So then we move into Rose. We want to hear who you are. I think this is the most important. These people here don't know how incredible and amazing you are at the grassroots level, and I think through a few questions, I'm going to help them find out. Maybe tell us who you are, where do you live, what are you a member of, and why? What do you think the Shackleton's Federation represents for you?
Good day, everybody. My name is Rosalinda Sarah Parent, and I am a regional facilitator for the Sheikh Dollars Federation in the Great Claras region. I'm coming from Keepmansroad, which is almost 500 kilometers from Windhoek. This is where I'm coming from. So I joined this organization in 1998, and I'm a veteran now for 25 years in this organization. And I'm a very proud owner of a decent, affordable house, which I have constructed in 2012. So I joined this organization in March 1998.
Incredible. Now, I want us to take a moment because if I knew nothing about the Shack Dwellers Federation, I would be really confused. It sounds like a scam. This lady joined an organization, got a house. Like in America, you have Oprah says, check under your chair, you found a house. But it's completely different. It's really different. I want you to tell us a little bit more. These guys have like a secret sauce. I think she's not willing to tell us yet, but we're going to get it out of her. I want you to tell us what really happened. You're a member of a community organization 500 kilometers from here. How many people are in this community group? And how many groups are there around the country?
We have almost 30,000 members all over the 14 regions in Namibia, whereby we have contributed a small amount from $1 per day, which has bring us up to 39 million that we have saved in our own fund, which we call the TWAHANGANA fund.
If you could give a Nobel Prize in Africa to one organization, I've been saying this since I landed in this country, since I've been living here, and since I've been inspired, to me it would be to the combination of this partnership between a technical NGO and a federation of grassroots, mostly women. I've seen some men sneaking into these meetings, but it's mostly women. Tell me, how many people sit in your community group?
In my group, we are 44 members, and all 44 of us has already got our houses. Because we cannot sit and wait for the government or any other institution to come and do something for us. We need to contribute to us our own development. Therefore, we have come up with that model of savings. And savings is a small amount that every member can afford. $1 per day can make a difference, 30 to $1 a month. And at least at the end of the day, you meet the government and the local authorities halfway so that we can develop our own housing and land.
Okay, this is incredible, and I want to jump back to NAG. What's amazing about this is that 10 people, and I think you guys, when I came to Namibia, you were 4, maybe 6. Now it's 10. I don't know where they're getting the funding, but it's like doubled the organization. What's incredible for me, when I went to one of these meetings, it's very casual. Plastic chairs, some people maybe take a beer crate. You sit around the floor, in a sand floor outside of somebody's house. This is a check-in weekly. Weekly. If you don't show up, there is attendance. Somebody's coming to find you. Does everyone put money every time, even if it's $1?
We have different kind of people because we are working with different people with different income. So we are not even forcing, if you don't have a $1 for that day, you are not forced to save. If you have it another day, you can save it. But we have a cooperation in the groups whereby we see to each other's needs. And then if somebody doesn't have for that day that $1, others who have contributed towards that. And our official trees, official offices are the trees where we sit and plan in the informal settlements where the people are living. We cannot sit and be office bearers to plan for people, but we need to plan with the people for the people.
Now I'm officially jumping back to NAG. I know I keep saying it, but we want to hear more. Now, he's right. And this is one of the most important learnings I ever had. It's called the meeting under a tree. They literally find a tree because you need the shade. Otherwise, the meeting will not last. 30, 40, 50 people sit under a tree and they have a conversation. In Namibia, we have federal government, regional government, local government, and Shack Dwellers Federation. I'm serious. Because this is like the community government inside of the local government. And it's not official, but it in many ways acts in that way. Now, can you help us understand? If they are doing everything on their own, they don't have employment, they're talking to each other, there's over 600 groups around the country for this 30-something thousand members, why does NAG need to exist? And what is your role and relationship in this process with groups like Rose?
So NAG is existing because we need a trust. We need a legal body, of course, that can bear the money. For example, if we are getting contributions from donors. So that's our role. And we are also there to help and to assist with the planning. So every 2 months, twice a year, we have national meetings. And in those national meetings, all the regions come together so that we can plan what is the next step for federation within the next 6 months, as well as exchanging information and learning. So our role is also to document this and to ensure that we are actually making progress from year to year. So, yeah.
I run an organization today called Jabu. We work in the same communities. We work with NAG sometimes, but much more with the Shack Dwellers Federation. When Samuel was talking on the Fun Roof presentation about salaries and where civil servants lay, we were looking at, on a minimum basis, on average, 10,000 per month Namibian dollars, South African rand salaries. Can we discuss what is the average income? If you had to guess, I know it's probably not a official statistic, what is the average income of a person who sits in a community savings group every month? How much do they bring home in their pocket? Not what they save, but how much are they earning? If you had to think about your community group.
So all the people that we are accommodating in the organization are low income earners, and it is below $7,000, 7,000 Namibian dollars. So if your income is under $7,000, then you are a member of a federation. Then we can mobilize that communities to have to join the organization.
Yeah. But
I also wanted to add on that, apart from the federation members, we also have informal settlement upgrading, where we work with communities in partnership with local authorities to upgrade informal settlements. And if I think about some of the communities that we work with, for example, in Kapandol, we collected data and we realized that the whole community, their monthly income for the whole community is 9,000 Namibian dollars.
The whole
community. But we still have to think about how do we bring housing to the ultra low, not just the low, but the ultra low income households.
now, if you're a developer and you're sitting in the room and saying, cool, this is inspiring, but I'm not going to make any money, I want to change your mind in 2 ways. Number one, when I did the first housing development, you are not part of the community usually that you're building in, unless you're from Windhoek and you're building in Windhoek. But you walk into a town like Grootfontein and you're in Ngobatere, Molunga Extension 5, and your neighbors are 200 Shack Dweller members. When I engaged with Heinrich, I had the opportunity to participate as a developer in their project, and that does 3 things for your development. It creates good neighbors, it builds sustainable servicing, and it actually brings a sustainable town development forward. The Shack Dwellers Federation was digging their own trenches, and we sponsored, at the time, 1 plumber to actually help with the leveling of those trenches. What that did is that it allowed the municipality to invest in combined access to sewage, both for our private development and the Shack Dwellers development. So sometimes partnering doesn't only add value to the community, but it actually enables you to have bigger and better communication with the government and the local authorities because you are combining your efforts. Now, I know we don't have a lot of time, and we could have an entire conference about what the Shack Dwellers is doing. We've talked about land, and I understand that you are approaching the municipal. You have 2 options. You can wait for government to come, or you can group together and say, we're going to come do this. If I was a private company, I would be trying to understand how communities come together to make my clients come together in the same way. How do you get the type of support you need from government, not just for land, but for water and sanitation? Maybe you can give 1 example of a community or something like that. And then I want to move on to 2 more points before we close.
I think one of the major driving forces when it comes to the external contribution is when communities or federation members can say, this is what we have, this is what we've done, how far can you also move us? So if you look at the TWAHANGANA Fund, for example, it's a blended fund, but one-third of that fund is coming from community contribution, and it speaks a lot to what communities can do. And the federation is always saying, we might be poor in pocket, but we are not poor in mind. There's so much we can bring to the process, that such as sweat equity in UIS, Caribbean, and so many other informal settlements where we are operating across the country.
Maybe, I think the answer is very complete. Rose, it could be your story, or it could be the story of another person. I want to hear the name if it's another person. I want to hear an inspiring story of someone's journey from saving to getting their plot, to making their house happen, to making, cooking their first pap on the stove inside their kitchen. I want to know, like, give us something inspiring that we can hear. Well, that's a real example of somebody achieving the housing dream.
I can take my own example. When I joined the Federation in 1998, I was very young. I was only 24 years old at that time. So when we got the land in Kipmanshoek, it was the very first story for us to get a land, because all these years we were only living with our parents, with our grandmothers' houses. We were not owners of any house or any land. So when I joined the federation, I heard the wonderful stories of the people, and I said, I'm going to belong to this organization. So in 2012, I became a beneficiary, where I have a dream that says I want to become a homeowner. I want to have something for my children in the future. So in 2012 December, I got my loan for 39,000, and then I construct my one-bedroom house. So it was the municipality also work up, and they give us land on a very cheap price. At that time, it was only 100 Namibian dollar to pay for a plot. Today it's 20 to 30,000 dollar per plot. But developments, as long as the years are coming, development needs should also increase, but it must be affordable for the people. At the end of the day, my family today, I'm having my own house. My children are with me. I even mobilized my firstborn so that she can also start a youth group for her to get her own house for her children, not for her to fight with her children and my siblings. The grandchildren and the siblings are going to fight over one house, but she must prepare for her also self.
I'm actually curious, so that we can wrap up, but I'm actually curious. How many people actually here own a house, title? Because I'm renting. I want to know how many people, raise your hand, how many people can say they've done what Rose has done? There's more people from outside of Namibia than house owners. So I can tell you, you're in the small percentage of people of homeowners because we are creative. I want to wrap up.
Can I add something?
Yes, but inspirational story, and then after the inspirational story, one message to the crowd. People here come to this conference to solve, to come together, to have ideas on how to make housing affordability happen. If you had to give one message from your perspective, from your industry, from what you know, what would that be after the inspirational story?
I think for me, what was the most inspirational was when we were hit by a tragedy in the coast, when informal settlement burnt down a couple of years ago. I'm sure all the Namibians are aware of that. And this was a tragedy because people not only lost, lives, but also because they lost their homes and they lost their stability. Before I even knew about it, our federation facilitators were calling us for an emergency meeting. We need to sit down, we need to talk, we need to see what can we do. And within a very short amount of time, the federation had mobilized, come together in partnership with our usual stakeholders to build houses in Kololeka. And I feel like that response for me was the most inspirational, because it spoke about resilience and building communities, and also building people, not just houses, who have the capacity to do something when something needs to be done. So I think Federation really took my breath away at that time.
Amazing. Weekly meetings. That's what weekly meetings can do. Rose, one inspiring message. You're sitting in front of a bunch of people who want to learn to know what your community group has done in their professional lives. What is one thing you can tell them in your own words, that you think is important for them to take away from you today?
The one important thing I can give today as a message is that partner with the low income people and plan with them and discuss issues that is affecting them so that at the end of the day a result can come out from the discussions that you have with them. The other thing is that we are very proud to our national government, especially the Ministry of Urban and Rural and Local Development. Since 2000, they have started contributing 1 million in out of our funds. Today, we are very proud that they increased that amount to 10 million for this financial year. And we could manage to build more houses and service land. So please plan with the people, not without the people, not on their behalf.
I love that. That is the most powerful message, I think. Thank you so much, Rose. It's amazing to see the AUHF in Namibia. I remember when we were a couple of years ago wondering where we would host a meeting, and I'm glad that Namibia is getting that highlight. I'm glad that your message is part of this conference, because I think that's what Namibia has to offer, is that we are resilient in this country, that there is innovation in this country, and that when you are inclusive of communities, you can really find a solution to all your problems. Thank you very much to Piwa and Rose, and thanks everyone for listening to the stories.